Constitution review process is once again gathering momentum, but this time the focus has shifted to the grassroots. Across the 6 geopolitical zones, town hall meetings are being held to hear directly from Nigerians about what they want changed in the 1999 Constitution. And the demands have been loud and clear. In the Southwest, there are growing calls for state policing and true federalism. In the South, resource control and fiscal autonomy dominate the agenda. From the North Central, we're hearing strong voices pushing for local government independence and security sector reform. In the Northeast and Northwest, many are asking for constitutional protection for internally displaced persons and more inclusive governance to address marginalization. Women groups across regions are demanding gender inclusion and equal representation in political and economic life. But as these conversations unfold, the question remains, will these town halls go beyond listening exercises? Will the voices of the people actually shape the outcome of the review, or will they once again be left out of the final draft? To help us unpack these developments and analyze the broader implications of the ongoing consultations, we're joined by Sam Kargbo, a seasoned constitutional lawyer and public affairs commentator who's been following this process closely. We'll explore the patterns, the promises, and the politics behind the town hall sessions and what it could all mean for Nigerian future. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope I got your surname correctly.
Yeah, that it is Kargbo.
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 Thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
thank you for having me
us.
this morning.
Hauwa, take it away.
All right. With these reviews that's going on, the constitutional review, and so far, I don't know if you've listened to our previous segment, a lot of people are saying that they do not know how to, get a hold of the Constitution, and most people do not know what the Constitution, is all about, and they do not know what their rights are. So first off, how will the everyday Nigerian know what is going on, and how important is it for them to know what the Constitution consists of and how to go for their rights?
Well, let me start with what the Constitution is. The Constitution is actually the fundamental law from which all other laws, like we lawyers would say, derive their own validity, because it's the Constitution that actually shapes and defines Nigeria and how the organs of government relate to each other. It establishes the organs of government. It establishes the governance system. It places a boundary between the government and public institutions and the individuals by giving the individual fundamental rights. That is like a shield. The Constitution had given immense power to these bodies, the 3 organs of government, that is the executive. The executive powers, they extend to almost every aspect of your life, every aspect of public life that is outside the lawmaking and the interpretation of the law is all under the domain of the executive. So the Constitution knows that it has created a very powerful individual, because all of those powers are vested in one individual, the president. And there is always that tendency for the abuse. The Constitution now said, okay, irrespective of all of these powers, all of this domain, this is the boundary, that is the fundamental rights. You cannot go beyond this, you cannot touch this, you cannot breach this. So the individual is protected. For an example, the individual's life is sacrosanct. The individual's right to his own dignity, to his own person, is also sacrosanct. The individual's right to fair hearing, so that for every time he is to be judged, the process has to be fair to him, in that he has to be given the opportunity to be heard. There is also the right to your own religion, the right to your own privacy, the right for you to associate with whoever you want to associate with. And that's where you have associations, you have political parties. All of this is because the Constitution has given the individual that free choice to associate with whosoever he feels he can partner with to promote his own interest. So the Constitution is such that any other law or any other act that any institution or individual does that goes against the Constitution is said to be null and void, and therefore could be struck down by the courts. So it is actually what we call the ground norm, in the sense that it is the God of the laws. And it is what defines our laws. It is the Constitution that says Nigeria is Nigeria, and also defines the boundary of Nigeria, and also gives powers to the state. Right. It also demarcates the boundaries of Nigeria, are also what donated by the Constitution. So it is everything that you call the environment that gives you the standard that you aspire for. So it's a very serious document. It's a very serious law, and that is why, unlike other laws that you can tinker with or amend or change very easily, the Constitution's amendment, or for you to want to change the Constitution, it's a little bit rigid. It's in the sense that it is not just the National Assembly that is involved this time around. It has to carry what the states. The states also have to have their own buy into it, so that when the National Assembly would have finished all their own proposal at that point to say this is what they wanted, because the Constitution gives them the power to initiate the process. They would have to go and convince the state, because they know that the document would eventually have to go to the state after they would have finished, and the state would have to have their own contribution into it. So it becomes very imperative for them to go to the grassroots from where they are coming from. Mind you, they are representative of the people. They are actually the errand or the messengers of the people, the heirs of the people. So when there is this thing from the center at the National Assembly, it is imperative on them for them to go and meet the people to say, this is what we want to do. What do you think? And they would want to have their own contribution to it. And sometimes during those town halls, they call for randoms or a memoranda from people who actually have some sort of specific knowledge and that could actually articulate some of the aspirations or the needs of the people. If you, from your own intro, you see how region-specific some of these demands are. Every region, just like every individual, they have their own specific needs, because those are the things that they feel are paramount to them. And under the federal system, the law is meant, or the Constitution is meant to allow the states to have their own individual evolution, so that at the end of the day, that mix would keep the color and the rhythm that will make development faster and seamless, because you cannot have a fix-it-all kind of a solution for every region, every local government, or every sector of the country. So everyone
has a specific
they have their own specific needs. So you will see how they are articulating this need, so that when you are making your own amendment, if you are attending to Sector A, there is also the need for you to have that plenary or uniform attendance to the needs of every part of Nigeria and perhaps every nation in Nigeria.
All right. With these constitutional review and the suggestions, as you aforementioned, that have been made by different, regions and different states, such as state policing, electoral reform, and all of that, and women involved as well in having a seat. Do you think that with these town hall and public hearings that are going on, which would directly affect and help in implementing those amendments?
The final outcome. You see, we've had, why we have been having this, the word would be disrespectful, but I think to my mind, that's the way I characterize it. There is we've had a lot of trial at trying to give autonomy to the local government, for an example, because it's necessary for we to have a very functional, effective grassroots governance system, which is where you have the local government councils. Time in from, I think for those of you who have not left university too long, you find that even in your university, your civic education or whatever, this thing is taught and emphasized that you have to have ground up kind of development system, and that people are actually in the local government areas, and therefore government should be there, and development should start from there. And the Constitution has envisaged that, and has given power to the local government council, given them money, just like they are given to the states and are given to the federation. But what happened, the problem has been with the state governors. I don't want to say the state, because when you say the state, you make it look esoteric. But basically, the devil has been the local government, the governors, the state governors. The state governors they appropriate the local government system. They make sure that it does not function specifically to enable them sit on the resources of the local government councils. A lot of funds are going there. If actually the funds that are meant for the local government councils were actually put into use, we would never have been having bad roads, bad schools, bad primary healthcare system. All of these things would have been well taken care of. Well taken care of. For whenever you have any of these things lacking, you don't have water, you don't have clean roads, you don't have clean streets, you don't have the basic amenities, the basic facilities, the basic infrastructure within your domain. The devil has been the governors, because they have been the one sitting on that money. They pocket it and make it what? Like what? An impress kind of a fund. Because you know why? It's easy to appropriate that one because they are not accounting for it. They are not the accounting officers. It's the local government councils. And the local government councils are under them. You understand? So because of that, it's been easy money. Whereas the money that comes to them from the federation directly for the state, they have to what? Account for it through the appropriation system. So they are the accounting officers, so they could be held responsible for that. So they give it that semblance. You see, they simulate what the law says. Sometimes you see them reading budgets and all of that, even though at the end of the day, you know what we're talking about. Corruption also would seep in more of that. But for the local government council, this entirely appropriated to make it like part of what? Their own, yeah. So the cry and the call has always been, let's give power and autonomy to the local government. So we will sever it away from the governor's, overbearance and controlling nature, so that they give it that sort of, and they could, when it has that independence, because it has money, it could attract quality personnel. It could attract quality persons. If the local government councils are working, there is no reason why a professor would not want to contest elections for the local government councils, because what? That is actually where you interact and deal with the politics. That is the grassroots politics that defines democracy. So you need to have what? Attract effective and knowledgeable personnel into that tier of government. But because the money has been taken away, The powers have been taken away. What do you have? You have the way you look at the recruitment system. Whenever you have a local government council election, the party in government would win 100%. Because what? The election itself, the state electoral commission is just, to me, an embarrassment, because all they do, sometimes they will even exclude another party entirely. They just concentrate on the state, and it's just a simulation. They just go and do what they call a circus, and they write the results. Right. You will never have. So that's why this called. And I'm coming to the problem now. Why haven't we been able to have this clearly stated in the Constitution? Because whenever you make the proposals in the Constitution amendment or the constitutional review, the moment it gets to the state itself will sit on it and say no. And because you do not have the threshold from the state, it dies. Because for it to be a law, it has to have what?
A backing.
The backing of the states. That threshold. 3/4 of the states. State assemblies, they have to vote. But those ones are in themselves in the pocket of the government.
Right.
So Nigerians have, different views, different opinions concerning, the Nigerian constitution. Do you think the review isn't really necessary?
Well, let me put it this way. You see, it's a little bit more complicated than I would put it, but I would say, why has America, that has had over 200 years of constitutional existence, because we borrowed from them, their own system, they've not had too many amendments as we've had. Ours has been, for every life of a president, there has been what? A cycle of amendments.
So do you think it comes to the implementation of, the Constitution in its right? That is where the problem is.
Yeah, the devil is in the details, the implementation. I know as a people we have, I don't want to be condescending, but I think there is that supermarket mentality. We want to crowd.
All right, what is the supermarket mentality?
Yeah, supermarket. You're like your house. The things you don't need, you just pack them there for the optics.
For the show of it.
Yeah, you
so
just
it's
pack
more
those
of,
things.
more
we want things to be there. And if you look at our constitution, it's like a textbook. Whereas when you look at the American Constitution, you put it here. You understand? And we want to legislate. We want to make sure that there is a law defining everything. But here is my cat, and here is the cat, and my own thoughts, not finished, and I respect other things. I would think that if we allow the courts to be much more involving and active in actually playing the roles of the gatekeepers and the custodian of the Constitution, they should be given the power to actually attend to some of these issues without actually having to have amendments, because the law by itself has to be dynamic, because it has to have a life and therefore be evolving. And so much so that for every interpretation it should reflect the moment and the needs of the moment. The Supreme Court has done that in its own interpretation as to whether the federal government has the right to send money directly to the
local government or state
local government councils, and to withhold this money if this money were not put into use, or whether the federal government has the power to withhold the funds of a state council if the state refuse to ensure that there is democracy at that level. So that by itself, to me, it's an innovation that actually, though for us as lawyers, looks like we are making law, but I would rather they be making that law than for us to be having much more than this, because at the end of the day, whatever law that you make, the teeth and bones of it will depend on what the Supreme Court says, because the Supreme Court is actually the definer of the Constitution. if the Supreme Court today says, as from this moment, man in the Constitution means woman, and woman in the Constitution means man, so be it. You would have to go back to say, oh no, this is not what you re-legislated. So they give meaning to those words. So I would think that they should be given not activist powers, but powers that would be reflective of the needs of the day, so that they can actually, because it's faster for them to inject sanity into the process than this amendment system that can be trapped down the line because of what? The interest of the governors, who are actually our own problem. Because take a look at the needs list that you reel out. All of those ones, they are actually speaking to what? Failure of failure of governance at the state level. Yeah. Because if you, nobody, I'm not impressed with the feeling that, state police would do anything better than the structure of the police system as it is now, because the Police Act is so clear. If you want to have your own police, you can apply to the Inspector General for you to have your own police for specific purposes. It can give you, which is to me a faster route than the police system. You now go and create a state police. I don't have problem with that if they have the money. But they've given them the power to do their own state security system. You have a Montekun there and all of them, but how many of them have been functional since the time, after all the crime, after the orchestration and the show of whatever it is, so do they now say, okay, go ahead. And some of us, when the last Attorney General wanted to put a stop to it, we said, no, they're doing their job. Don't worry. Allow them. Don't be bothered. Don't say anything now. Wait. Today, what have they done with that power? Have they, as any of them, maybe perhaps Amatekum, thereafter the others, except they, because they want to have the blame game. They want to have, to tell the people that, there is no security in that place because of what? The federal government. But I can tell you the security layer system that we have, the federal government is a second tier. It is only coming to give you a backup to what you are supposed to do, because you have the funds for it, you have the resources for it, just like the federal government has. So the fact that the security architecture is basically manned by federal government institution is not by itself characteristics of the real powers as regards the security implementation across the country. If the state governors are serious, if they are actually attentive to the needs of the people, and if they are actually having their boots on the ground, most of these problems would have been solved. But many of them, their energy and time is spent on something out of the ordinary. I don't want to say more than this.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that there've been a track record of, constitutional amendments. Do you think this time will be a different thing, would be different when it comes to amending it and implementation in the future as well?
If you ask me to make a prediction, it would come back to the same deja vu. Okay. We are coming back to the same point. Anything that touches the interest of the states, they would stand against it. And
so with the town hall meetings as well, that would not make any impact.
The town hall meetings, they've always been there because they are supposed to be there. Because if you are tinkering with the Constitution as it were, as it is today, even though not perfect, but as it is now, is protective of me to some extent. If you want to tinker with it, I should be hard. It is not just something you come and stand in your chamber and speaking good English about, because it affects me. For an example, if tomorrow they want to say no, let's take personal liberty away from the Constitution. You know how that affects me. You understand? You understand? So I would also, for an example, if I'm to be, if I know who is representing me here, do you know who is representing you in Abuja? I don't think you know, because I do not think he cares about you. You understand? Ireti, I don't even know when last he held any town hall meeting or meeting with anybody, but they have money for constituency offices, for constituency projects and all of that, but they're not functional. You understand? But to me, I would, if you ask me personally, we should be talking about economic rights for now.
Absolutely.
Education should be a fundamental right. Employment should be a fundamental right. Because let's face it, if you give me the right to vote and I'm not educated, I can sell that vote for wrapper. I can sell it for sachet of Maggi, which they do.
Which is happening.
Which is they do, and which is why the public, or what do you call them, our own representative or elective officers are that disrespectful, because at the end of the day, they know that they are going to buy their votes. But if indeed the norm is that you have to pass through that grinding machine of public scrutiny, and whatever vote you have is one that you earned, would have been better off. But it's a one-man, one vote. Your vote is not in any way more important than your megad. It's not in any way more important than the mechanic. So the farmer don't. And to them, coming to line up on the voting day is perhaps a routine, like what they say, going to church on a Sunday. They just do that ritual and they go. They do not see the relationship between that particular activity, and their life. Because they are not educated. So why should education not be a fundamental right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So I have a bit of a fear when it comes to the legal and political realities concerning all of the constitutional review, because of course the National Assembly drives this review process, and for me I feel it's a dual way thing. They are also political players. How does this dual role affect the credibility of the process?
Well, the process? The process by itself try to generate credibility, because when you get this participation of the people through the town hall meetings, it addresses that, assuming, like I am saying, there are indeed town hall meetings. I would not want to be disrespectful, but forget about the characterization of town hall meetings. Most of the time, those meetings are peopled by themselves, the elite. When have you ever had a farmer talking or even admitted into the halls? They go and rent cozy offices in hotels or in event areas, small, and they call the cameras and they speak the English. They leave. And most of the time what they have there, it is actually the elite who go there to render their own esoteric ideas and not a grassroots participation, because who articulates the feelings of the people? Why would you be so concerned about, for an example, the internet to reach the farmer when the farmer does not have fertilizer, does not have road, he does not have protection for his farm? The important aspect of these things, you do not take those one into consideration. You do not address the health care of this. Sometimes, if the farmer, many of them, they give birth in the farms. Maybe what they do, the moment the woman is in labor, they send her to cry People run head and skelter to look for older women who will come and help, because what, there is even no road, no vehicle, no nothing to go to the nearby hospital. And sometimes the nearby hospital will be days to get there. And like I would say, you have them all in the farms. And because there are no rules and there is no linkage between them and the security agencies, perhaps the governance system, somebody comes in, they maul them overnight.
Yes.
What do you do? And you go to them, what you talk, you say, okay, there should be internet to this place. You talk about things that affect you and not them.
Directly.
And at the end of the day, you say you are conducting town hall meetings. To me, at the end of the day, all they try to do, take a look at all of those amendments, are amendments meant to what? Drive the interest of the elite.
Well, as you mentioned that it is the direct interest of the everyday Nigerian is not looked at when it comes to these type of things. And as a seasoned constitutional lawyer, let us pick your brain a little bit. What do you think in a little bit of context, do you think in the Constitution can be amended that could help the everyday Nigerian closely to heart, closely to home?
Well, you see, there's a lot of wastage. The governance system by itself is anti-developmental and anti-development and growth. What am I saying here?
That's the hot take.
Yeah, that's what it is. The way the governance system is structured, it's one against development. Let me take a look at, you are young, and but let me take you back to history. When you had the regions, mind you, I do not think any of those regions existed beyond how many years? Up to 10 years. But look at the developments that you had. The western region with Awolowo, the north with Sadana, the east, Agbara and Zik. But let me put it here, Awolowo had just about 11 secretaries from Lagos to Asaba. Right? 11, assuming those are thieves. He only had 11 thieves. And therefore, there was the money for development because the governance system wasn't that too heavy.
And saturated.
But today, from there to there, how many states, how many local government council, how many councils? You have councillors, you have local government chairmen, you have governors, then you have what? Commissioners, you have SAs, SA to SAs, you have advisors. If my memory serves me right, there's a state where somebody had over 2,000 advisors that he just paid to settle them from money that was supposed to have gone into development. So you have the recurrent, which is money meant to serve the personnel of government, more than double money left for development. And unfortunately, the small that is left for development, perhaps 70% of that too goes into corruption. So what do you have? You have the system churning out billionaires all out of the governance system and its patronage and its corruptive nature. Churning out billionaires, and yet the country is poor. The irony is Nigeria has more billionaires than any country in Africa. Even South Africa. Billionaires. Even South Africa. Not secret, known.
Well-known billionaires.
You understand? And so they go to the airport and see private planes. It's like water. But where are their production units? Where are their factories? Where are they?
Good question.
You understand? All of this is money what drained from the system. So the governance system has to be addressed. That should be pruned down. Let's start even from the presidency. The presidency is never a democratic system. It's never a democratic entity. Never. And it is because they know it is not a democratic, that's why they had what? The legislature coming there to say, okay, let's vote over you to be sure that you don't go outside your enumerated powers. It's the buffer, or supposed to have been the, say, the surveillance or the centenary, or what do you call the amoteco for the people. But because it has so much influence and powers, it buys the legislature and it absorbs the legislature. The legislature becomes appropriator and becomes part of the, it becomes even the most effective foot soldier for the executive. It becomes what? The most effective tool of the executive to even reduce your own rights for that and what? Deny you the environment for your own personal growth and development. So let's reduce those powers of the president, reduce the powers of the states, and let's take governance to the grassroots.
You know, there are lots of people that have the opinion that Nigeria would do better with a parliamentary government.
No, I would not buy that because, you know, we don't have the culture. You see, parliamentary discourse, if you watch it, you see the parliamentary debates and the discussion, you will know that this is a system born out of pristine democratic principles.
So you think Nigeria does not have that willpower or the brain capacity to have that?
No. That's not. You see. Don't say what I want to say. Let's just deal with what we are dealing with.
Okay.
Let's deal with what we are dealing with, and let's try to improve on it. But I would also sound a kind of a warning here, in the sense that if we, the people, do not really take governance seriously, do not really see the relationship between government and our life, our aspirations, the actualization of our own potentials, we continue to be that lackadaisical and careless about what those who give the public space to manage do. Believe me, very soon we'll go back into wars. This is serious. You see, because look at democracy is collapsing. Even in America, you see, democracy, if they continue like this, give them another 2-3 rounds, America may not be America that we know it today.
Right.
Democracy is dying.
Right.
So we, the people as individuals, to start taking this thing seriously and make these people accountable.
All right. Unfortunately, yes, we have to go on a break. Thank you so much for being here with us. It was an absolute pleasure and learning a lot from you.